What's up, Grace Girls? Welcome to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast, where we focus on helping Black women change their lives by discarding negative thoughts, pivoting in the right direction, and shifting their mindset through cultivating a trauma free lifestyle. I'm your host, Courtney Kristen, educator, content creator, life coach, counselor, and mental health enthusiast living in Houston, Texas. I created the Allow Yourself Grace podcast because I wanted to create a space for Black women to share their thoughts, feelings, and stories that make them who they are without fear of judgment. Allow Yourself Grace provides emotional support and encouragement within the Grace Girls community for women in need of non biased opinions from women other than family and friends. Personal development, self care, career, faith are among many of the topics we will discuss on this platform. Allow Yourself Grace podcast is here to encourage Black women to live unapologetically and thrive in being authentically who they are and were designed to be, an entire vibe. No topics are off limits. We will cover it all. Now, grab a notebook, pen, sit back, and enjoy the show. What's up? What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. I have a guest in the house today, and I'm super excited about having her. Y'all know I always love when I have guests. And yeah, we're going to get right into the episode. As always, I like to let my guests introduce themselves. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hello, world. My name is Zuriel Gibson. I am a Lupus life coach, community health worker, CEO, executive director, and founder of the Gibson Lupus ARC. And I mean, I got a lot of titles put out there, but that's what I'm gonna put out right now.
I love it. I love it. It was so funny, guys, because when we talked initially, I was like, what do you do? And I was like, she told me everything she does. And I always love when people tell me what they do. And I'm like, come on, credentials. I love it. Because, y'all, I love when people are doing multiple things. It just shows me how talented we are as a people. I mean, I love that. I love that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of how you grew up, where you're from, and how you got into the industry that you're in.
South Park, baby.
Oh, she's straight out of H-Town. Yes, I love it.
Yes. I grew up in South Park. I was one of those kids. My parents are divorced. I bounced around. So my dad was military, so I bounced a couple of places. But where Granny stayed, that was home. So I'm from South Park. I'm proud of that.
I love that. I love that.
So, my family, I don't even know. I guess they would, I was always that kid with champagne taste and tap water money. That's how we called it, but that's okay. So that's kind of like how I came up. My mother, she was always behind the camera. She loved taking pictures of all of her kids and her nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So she kept us in front of a camera. She kept us, we lived out in spring for some time. So my mom made sure we were around different cultures so we knew how to deal with people in different areas in different ways.
And that's important.
It's very important, and we utilize that now as adults. And I didn't realize how important it was then, but we see how the importance it is now.
Yeah, it's definitely a tool that you can use everywhere in your life because, man, I wish more people knew that. And so I'm so glad you said that. We want to definitely highlight that on the screen because kids need that. They need that. They need to know that, especially in our communities.
Yeah, there's a full world beyond Black people.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And with all the different personalities and the different ways people deal with things, it's not always based on just where you are, like where you live.
Yes.
But basically how you grew up. So if your parents were from India or your parents were from Africa or Japan or anything like that, it's how they grew up in that house, which is what they bring forward.
Yes,
so that's
yes.
What you learn is literally comes out of you, even though you grew up saying, I ain't gonna be like my parents. I
right.
know I said that and caught myself talking just like my mama.
Right, right. And it takes work to change those habits.
It does. It really
a lot.
does. Because you have to actually recognize that you got that habit. Because when you've been doing it for so long, you think, oh, no, I'm this, I'm that. But the truth of the matter is learning yourself is the best growth that you can have in life.
Yes. And when you realize that, okay, there's some things I need to change, I think that's really when you tap into your full potential. I had to do that with money. I didn't realize how poor my mindset was about money, but it was just from growing up. Like growing up, people saying, "Oh, I'm broke," or "Oh, I don't got it." You know, like all these things,
Words are powerful.
finding the cheapest thing in the store. You know, like why?
Well, hold on, don't knock the bargains.
No, I like the bargains, but you know, sometimes the quality.
Yes.
I'm just now starting to realize, like, dang, I like cheap stuff, but sometimes the quality don't last very long. So yeah, I love a good bargain, and if it's something that's comfortable and great, I'm all for it. But as far as the quality goes on some stuff, I'm like, oh, I really could have just went ahead and paid that like $20 extra or whatever,
right, yeah.
You know. So
I have an Old Faithful in your closet that lasts you for about 10, 20 years.
Exactly, yeah. exactly. So yes, for sure. So your foundation, let's get into that. Tell us about your foundation that you started.
So my organization has been around for at least maybe about for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. The date escapes me, don't know how, but it did. But anyway, it's been around for over 10 years, and I started it off small because I was diagnosed with lupus in 97. So I did what I could do. You know, I helped people talk through their problems. I basically was a life coach without even realizing I was a life coach. So helping people realize that, hey, have you thought about it this way? Because like you said, you know, we grow up and think about this box that we're in, not realizing it's a box. So helping people think outside of the box. And I've done that for over several years, and, you know, giving money to people who needed help with bills or medication and stuff like that. You know, I wasn't able to give because I was small. I wasn't able to give thousands upon thousands.
Right.
But, you know, it was helping them out in that moment.
Right.
You know, so we did that for a very, very long time. And actually just going out there and speaking and raising awareness by telling my testimony and telling people things to look out for.
Oh, wow. I love it. I keep saying that, but I'm like, these are all amazing things. So with your organization, where's it going next? Like, what's the goal?
So one of the things that I went through in the beginning of my journey when I first found out that I had lupus is I jumped from house to house to the point of being in a shelter. And I don't believe anyone should have to be homeless because they're sick and they're trying to learn themselves and what they've gone through. Because illness will teach you about yourself. If you like it, whether you like it or not, it will teach you about who you really are in life. So in our next step, we are putting all our efforts to build a housing project. In this housing project, it will have a program where you're allowed to stay for at least 8 months to a year, depending on where you are and how you're moving, with lupus or any autoimmune disorder. Upon assessment, where you will take classes for life skills, you will take education classes on your disease, you will have support classes, career classes, because a lot of people will have to change a career, learn how to work in their career correctly, you know, or pursue entrepreneurship. We know that's not for everybody, so we do help with other areas, you know, and also teach, you know, some nutritional value so that you do something that works for your body and your body, your blood, your body type and all of that stuff, so that you remain healthy and move forward.
Okay. Those are all great things. When you first got diagnosed with lupus, what was that like for you? Did your body like change? What made you really go in and say, oh, something's wrong, something's not right?
I literally almost died. I was staying with my father in California, and I had a really severe episode to the point where I had a hard time breathing. So I called my mother, who was here in Texas, and she says, hang up and dial 911. Now, I was so bad and getting so weak that I literally had to leave the door open. She was like, make sure you leave the door open. Leave the door open so that the ambulance could actually get to me. So they picked me up from in front of the door because I was in and out of consciousness at that point. So they picked me up from in front of the door, asked me some questions. All I remember is I told them where my purse was and how to lock the door, and that was it. I remember coming in and out, going to the hospital, because I opened my eyes at one point and I saw mountains. Now, in this journey, I felt a peace because I didn't know what was going on, but I was still at peace, like, okay, somebody got me.
Right.
You know? So I ended up going to the hospital, and the next time I woke up, my mother was there. Mind you, I said I was in California, she was in Texas, so I was out for quite some time.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what made me go to the hospital. My mother is the one that made them test me for lupus because they didn't want to. They actually said she doesn't show the signs for lupus, is what they said. And being the mother, by the grace of God, I had the mother that I had. She made them test me for lupus, and when they did, it came back positive, and they gave me all the proper medication, and I was able to live. Because they literally told my mom she's going to die. Her body is shutting down on her, and she's going to die.
Wow, but weren't willing to test you until she advocated for it.
Correct.
Oh, wow. Wow. Man, it's good to have somebody on your team. Like, I'm always, when someone in the family's in the hospital, I'm always that person asking questions. Like, can we do this? Can we do that? Because you need someone to really advocate for you. So your organization does that. It teaches you how to do that.
It teaches you how to do that. Me and my mother didn't have the best relationship, but in an emergency situation, I knew who to call.
Right.
So, but when I was going through my battles, when I was in and out of the hospital, I was alone because no one understood what lupus was. And I looked like this, but all I did was sleep.
Wow.
You know, and my grandmother from the old school, little country lady, said, get out of the bed, it takes your strength. And I was like, but the medication they had me on, I couldn't move. All I could do was sleep. I got up, I ate, I went to the bathroom, and I went back to bed. And that was it. That's all I had the strength for. You know, so it was a struggling battle to try to figure out what the heck was going on with me because they didn't explain to me that the medication would chemically change my mind and my thought process to where I wasn't able to comprehend some things. Because at one point they had me on a page and a half of medication. And I was like, that's another part of the story. But that beginning part of my journey was really, really rough. And like the Bible says, train them the way they should go and they will return. I knew to call on God.
Yes.
And at that point, I was like, God, I don't know what to do. Because they're saying that they're saying that I'm not compliant. I can't do this. I can't do that. Or that I won't do it. Not that I can't. I won't do it. It wasn't that I wouldn't do it. It was the fact that I couldn't remember.
Oh, okay. So did you start kind of like doing your own research? Like, okay, I got to really figure this out. Like, what are some holistic routes I can go? Like, what can I do to really help me with my side effects? Or do I change doctors? Like, are all these things going through your mind at this time?
So God sent me a man called Pete Hernandez. What's up, Pete? Best friend in the world. When he sent me him, he helped me realize why I wasn't remembering a lot of things. Because they would drug me up and then try to talk to me. And then, or they would come late at night and the day was done. My entire body was done. So once I got that information, I realized when I got home, I was like, they literally have me on a page and a half of medication. I've been doing this for quite some time. Now, I have to I have to take myself off the medication maybe a day or two before in order to even make it to a doctor's appointment. So my last straw was when I took a medication, a doctor, she put me on a medication for something that was going on with me, and I blew up well over 200 pounds. Wow. I looked like a Oompa Loompa.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Y'all remember Willy Wonka when the baby turned purple and she was just round?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh my God. And that's scary in itself.
It is, but I'm like, I don't know what to do. My mother mentioned something about a water pill. I'd never heard about it before. So when I went to the doctor the next time, I was like, do I need a water pill? I said, I've never been this size in my life. I've been big, but I've never been this big in my life. What's going on? Do I need a water pill? She says, don't worry about it. You're just fat.
The doctor said that?
She told me I was just fat.
Whoa. That's kind of harsh.
At that point, I'm like, wait. I told you I've never been this big before. Now, I ain't never been no little person.
Right.
Never ever in my life, except for the day I was born. That's how I got into this world. Never been no little person. But when she told me, don't worry about it, you're just fat, I was like, something's wrong. That's when the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
So I had stopped taking the medication, and 3 months later, I went to go see her for my follow-up, and she was like, you look great. What did you do? You lost all this weight. I said, stop taking your medicine. She looked at me like it was the end of the world, like a deer in headlights, and it was the end of the world. Oh, my God, I was going to die. So she wrote on my paper that I was non-compliant. And all the doctors after that treated me as if I was not going to listen to them anyway. So
oh, my God.
I had no choice but to wing myself off of medications and figure things out for myself. So, yeah, it was definitely an experience. But I say that moment actually was a blessing, because if she wouldn't have done what she did, I probably would not be sitting here because of all the medication they had me on. That probably would have just clogged up my body, stopped my heart, anything. You know, so I winged myself off of different medications doing the holistic route. Now, I started to talk to my mom a little bit more, and she would tell me about the different things, or I go sneak through her stuff, whichever. However it came
Whatever
about.
gets the job done. Okay.
However it came about. So I would find out little things to flush out your system. I found out how medication it takes so long to get out of your system. So I'm like, well, what can I do to flush things out of my system? So I learned about detoxing. And when I started doing that, I started to feel a little bit better. But then I learned, okay, I'm detoxing, I'm flushing everything out, the bad and the good. So I had to learn how to replenish my body correctly, you know, and then, of course, you know, the proper diet comes into place. And then I was like, okay, I got a little bit more energy. I can move around a little bit more. My bones don't hurt as much, you know. I can think a little clearer. You know, I even tried, there was this coffee that came out at one point. It was a mushroom coffee, and I got so much clarity that I hadn't had in probably like 5 years.
What? From the coffee?
From the coffee.
Oh.
Now, I detoxed my body, but that mushroom did something to my brain to clear up my brain fog. So that went all the way to the top. So I was sold.
Okay.
I was really sold
on the natural.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately, the company's not open anymore. But mushroom coffee is still out there, and I recommend those kind of mushrooms to go ahead and clean out your system. So that I just started doing those holistic things, and they started to be better. And then I started getting doctor's reports like, oh, how are you doing? I was at one point where a doctor, he just made an appointment to make sure I was alive because I was doing so good. There was no need for me to go to a doctor. We didn't have any follow-up appointments. It had been an entire year. He just wanted to make sure I was okay. He was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen her.
Right.
You know?
Let me make sure you're good.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. A lot of people are scared of, you know, like, oh, they said if I get off the medication, you know, I'm not going to, you know, so all those things replay in your mind, you know, where you're thinking about, I don't want to take this. It doesn't make me feel good. But if I don't take it.
So the thing with that is I'll never tell anyone not to take their medication because I truly believe it's there for a reason. I just personally do not believe in long-term medication.
Yes.
Because like most nurses and doctors have come and said, they was like, in school, they teach us this is the illness, this is the medication. And they don't go outside of that box. Yeah. So a lot of doctors will tell you, well, don't try that herbal thing because they don't know anything about it. They know what they know. The definition of a doctor is to practice medicine.
Yes.
And they can only practice what they know. So not to knock them. I love doctors. I got doctors that I'm going to keep for the rest of my life. But, you know, there are certain things that when you step out the box, at least you got a doctor to go back to, you know. And I still have different medications that I have to take, you know. But at the end of the day, some of the medications they take me is mostly like a vitamin because I have a low potassium because I retain water. So I have to take those water pills and it flushes me out. So I have to take potassium, you know, just different things like that. Yeah. But it's at an as needed and not an everyday to harm my body type of thing.
Right. So
I will never tell anyone just stop your medication. It's totally wrong. No, I'm not. I'm not that person. I'm just saying that personally, I don't believe it's meant to be long term. There are alternatives.
Right. Do you think like working out helps with lupus?
It like could exercising? If you've gotten to that point. Okay, me as an example. So I work out, but I have to be careful when I work out because I retain water. So when I sweat, I don't sweat it all out. My entire body says swoop because it wants to keep all the water within. So I can work out, but there's a way I need to work out.
Oh, okay.
So everybody's different. Okay. Everybody's different. Everybody can't do everything. I had one lady when I was telling people to work out before, and she was like, how dare you tell people to work out? No, everybody can't do that. What about the bedridden people? I said, if you can type this message, you can start somewhere.
Yeah, you can start moving your arms in the bed, your hands.
That can lead into something else, you know. And you don't have to start off like everybody else. Everybody is different. Okay. You know? Yeah.
I like that. Everybody's different. What does being a survivor mean to you? Because people may look at you and they may say, oh, well put together, well spoken. I can't believe, I don't believe her story, right? I don't believe it. What does that mean to be a survivor? It's like to really pick yourself up and say, you know what, I'm going to put on these heels today and this dress. I might not feel the best all the time, but I'm going to push through and I'm going to go after everything I know that's mine, and I'm going to fulfill my purpose.
So to be a survivor, never judge a book by its cover. It's taught me that. Mm-hmm. It's also taught me that I can conquer anything. I have my moments where I have my doubts. But when I look back from where I started to where I am today, the world, like they say, the world is your oyster. And I truly believe that. It may not always look like I want it to look and be perfect. And yes, I still have those moments where I can't get out of bed. That's okay. I've learned to be okay with that because there's always tomorrow. If God said I can have tomorrow, there's always tomorrow. Go back to bed and start over. I have no problems with that.
Yeah.
So to be a survivor tells me that I have purpose. I am strong. And I can work this out.
And like you said, every day's a new day to start it over again. Yeah. Like, let's start over. Yesterday wasn't so good, but today I feel a little better. I'm pushing through.
It's like those times, where, your childhood friends be like, I remember. Like, ooh, boo, I was.
Yes.
You be like, I really was. But today, we at a brand new place. So we going to forget about yesterday. We going to forget about yesterday and keep pushing forward because I got somewhere I need to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the life coaching aspect of what you do, is that only for like people who are going through what you've been through, or do you kind of cater to everybody?
I cater to everyone, but most people that come to me, of course, have lupus and autoimmune disorders.
Okay.
Because of my experience, I speak to more people because that's where I'm seen. People know me and all of that. So, yes. So
do you give them like a structured plan, like before you guys start your process of life coaching, or is it just like weekly check-ins, or how does it work when someone comes to you for life coaching?
It depends on what they're coming to me for. Mm-hmm. I do have structured plans for people that need that structured plan, but I also do the weekly checkups.
Okay.
Because some people don't need it all like that. Yeah. They just need a check-in, because I help with that career development type of thing too, where they're trying to figure some things out. So, okay, let's talk. What did you do this week? Let's talk about it. Sometimes some people just need to have someone to talk it out and have. What did I say? Outside looking in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm outside looking in and I give you my experience, it doesn't mean it's going to work exactly how mine did, but it gives you a direction to move in.
Yeah. So yeah. And it helps people have a place that's non-biased, because sometimes you can't talk to family and friends.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you were going through it, nobody really understood it. So it was just like, they didn't get it. No, they're just like, get up, come on, you can do this. They're telling you the things that you probably need to hear, but they're not able to relate. And so I think having that safe space for them is awesome. That's awesome. Do you have a lot of women, or is it women and men, or is it?
Of course. So with lupus, it's 90% women and 10% men. So of course there's more women than there are men, but I do both.
Is there a statistic behind why there's more women than men? No,
don't get me
no one knows. I'm just asking.
I'm going to say there probably is. Now, I'm going to interject the Lupus Foundation of America Gulf Coast chapter here in Houston. They have a lot of information that I may not.
I'm going to put their link below, because I'm going to go read too, because I'm like, I really want to know, like, because that's a high number.
It is a very high number. So it's 13,000 people a year that get diagnosed properly. So we don't know a real number, but this is who gets diagnosed properly before and after that.
And you know what? I say this too. A factor could be that, it's said that women, we kind of like, we're more involved in our health. We'll go to the doctor, and men are kind of like,
yeah, I was actually talking to them the other day, and I had that question. I was like, well, how do we know it's only 10% men? Men don't like to go to the doctor. And they was like, well, wives push them up. I was like, that don't mean they go. They say they going, but just like I had watched that episode of The Neighbors, he was like, she hooked him up with a colonoscopy. He went everywhere but that colonoscopy. just so he could go home and tell his wife, oh, Lord, yeah, that was something, baby. It was like, so.
No, for real, because like even my husband goes to the doctor, I'm like, okay, what did the doctor say? I'm like, okay, when you're there, FaceTime me. Let me know what's going on.
Exactly.
Or let me just hear the doctor, like, because no, they're right. Like, they'll go everywhere, and then when they go, they don't know what happened at the doctor. Like, what happened at the doctor?
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because I have male friends that I speak to, and it's unfortunate. If the doctor doesn't say his stuff is falling off, most of the time, they ain't really paying attention. And I was like, why would you do that? What about X, Y, Z? He was like, but I can bear that. I can take it. So it doesn't really matter.
I feel fine.
If I feel fine, you know, you can wear the pain with a smile. You all right, you know?
Right.
So that's in my opinion. Now, they said they've gone and done some things, and I was like, well, I got to see some numbers.
Right, I need to see the number. That's me. I'm like, I need to see the numbers. What's the number? And she's like, look, I don't know. Look, go do your own research. I really am.
So, but they're doing a lot of great things.
I love that.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of great things. They have a new CEO. I just have to put a plug in.
No, put the plug in.
I mean, they have come aboard and done some amazing things because before, unfortunately, the way it was ran before, it blocked everybody off. Like, it wasn't in the right neighborhood. It wasn't talking to the right people. It was actually taking away from smaller organizations to do what they have to do, you know, so on and so forth. It was just so many stories that I heard that just turned people away from it. Now, I'm not going to call all of these facts. I'm just saying those are stories that I heard.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, Miss Anna Marie, the new CEO, hey, Miss Anna, we love her. And for a while, she was emailing me, and I was ignoring it because I thought they had somebody new in the office, and they ain't know no better. So I was like, y'all not supposed to get me caught up.
Right. I'm not getting in that.
I'm not getting in that. And come to find out, it was actually her, and I met her at an actual conference with someone raving about her, and I was like, okay, well, that's you. You have a good time. And then I ended up meeting her and fell in love, and she is the best thing since sliced bread. So she's an advocate for what we're doing at the Gibson Lupus ARC and our housing project as we partner with that organization for the support classes and those disease educations and the lupus trial and things like that. Amazing partnership with them.
I love it. I'm happy that, you know, she was able to change that narrative. Because I'm sure you weren't the only person thinking
was not.
that. Yeah.
There was several people. They had a grand opening announcing the new CEO and the new things they have going on. It like sparked a fire and brought it back to life. So they're getting the help that, you know, it's the team that they need to bring things forward, the advocates that they're putting on board and everything. They're amazing people. They're survivors. They're warriors. They're able to just do it and be gun-ho.
I love it. Oh, y'all see what happens when you just get around some good energy and you really see what people are about. Because like she said, like sometimes we hear about things or, you know, we're not really sure about things until we actually have our own experience with the person or with the organization or whatever the case may be. So I encourage people to just have your own experience.
Exactly.
Before you kind of like make that assumption or like rule them out. Just kind of, you know, have your own experience. Because I've learned my lesson with that. Because I'm like, oh, well, no, because so-and-so and no. But then when I have my own experience, it's like, oh, no, it wasn't like that at all.
Right? So-and-so was going through something.
Right. It was, maybe y'all had y'all whatever or whatever the case may be. But it's like, I didn't have that experience. So don't miss out. I say all that to say don't miss out on great opportunities and relationships because of that. So let's move into a little bit. We're gonna bounce around a little bit. So you talked about your grandma, and so did your grandma primarily raise you, or your mom raised you, and you just kind of was that grandma's or?
Well, grandma was involved in my life, but my mom did, you know, I was with my mom. Yeah.
Okay.
She pretty much did everything. We just didn't have the best relationship.
How many siblings do you have total?
From my daddy or from my mama?
Okay, let's start with mom. You like me. I feel you, girl. With your mom?
With my mom, I have 3.
With 3. And then your dad?
I have 4 that we know of.
4 that you know of. Okay, yeah. No, I feel her on that one, y'all. Y'all already know my story.
My daddy was charming. He was cute. Everybody do it. That was the problem.
Lord. And I'm like, do you got to get a baby everywhere you go?
That was actually like, the joke. My family reunion is coming up, right? So that was actually the joke that when we got older, it was like, please don't have a new kid popping up at every family reunion talking about that's my child.
That's your sister. That's your brother. You're like, who is that?
You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, like.
I actually had met Well, two of my very youngest sisters that I know of right now, I've met them. One was in high school. She was from New Orleans and came to Houston when they had that big storm. Wow. The other one, she's still in New Orleans. They got two different mamas. So my daddy has some stumping grounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You like to hang out in the okay.
Yeah, so it was like, okay, we go and we tread lightly. Right. Like, who your people? Right. It's like, you got to make sure you know who your people
for real. Because you'll end up with somebody you're related to. It's like, wait, hold on. Oh, man, we might be related, you know?
Right.
But the relationship with your mom, you said it a couple times. So why do you think you guys are too much alike?
That's what my grandmother said.
Because that's normally like what I get when people is like, oh, yeah, because y'all like the same. So you bump heads.
My grandmother said we were a lot alike because she would say certain things. It was between her and her baby sister, my aunt, that would say certain things about me. And my grandma was there to protect me. She said, take one to know one, heifer. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I say that?
No, you can say that. You can say that.
So, you can say that. Granny had my back.
Yeah.
You know, so, and plus my mother and my dad had a rocky relationship, and I reminded my mom of my dad a lot. So that wasn't the best.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't the easiest child to deal with. I had a lot of questions, and I bucked the system a lot. So, yeah, it just wasn't all that good. It wasn't the best all the time. Thank you. It wasn't the best all the time. Yeah. So I was her first child. She ain't know what to do with me. Of course, thank God she got my sister because that was easier for her. She was a lot easier for her.
She was a little quiet.
Yes.
She was a little quiet.
She was quiet.
When you're a vocal, they like, be quiet. Go get somewhere and sit down. Get out my face. Stop asking me questions.
Yes.
You know, all of that.
I was the one to bump the system. I was like, I don't know why, who did it. Okay, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to figure it out.
And your grandma over there like, that's your child.
Yep.
That's you all over again.
That's
so I always say, you're going to get it back. When you get a child, you're going to get it back. And she's probably like, girl, that is you. That's you all day. So how do you feel about networking? Is networking like something that you do a lot with other women, or is this something that you're just like, it's needed, but you don't have to?
No, it's needed, and I have to. I don't want to, but I have to.
Let's get into that. Yes.
Yes, I truly believe networking is the key. Networking is where your net worth is. Because you utilize different, it's the type of networking. One of the complaints that was here in Houston was everybody was so familiar that they just jumped in. It was just kind of like clicks, and nobody was really getting anywhere. So you put yourself in productive places. Never be the smartest person in the room. You know, never be the one who knows everything in the room where you can't utilize someone else's business as they utilize yours. So I truly believe in networking and utilizing someone else. So if something comes up, like for prime example, I interjected myself into another organization because of my brother and his issues. So in that organization, they needed XYZ. What did I do? I picked up my phone and called my network. Hey, they need XYZ. And I was able to accommodate my job by the network that I have. That's important. One, I look good on the job.
I love it.
Two, it made my life a whole lot easier. You know, and everybody get paid from this.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just starting to get out and networking, and I'm like, this is so powerful because you end up meeting this person, and you meet this person, and this person does this. And like she said, before you know it, you have pretty much someone in every area that you may need in another capacity, or you may be able to refer them to somebody else. And so it all kind of works out. It's crazy how things have been going so fast. Since I've been networking, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to send you this person, or, oh, I need you to connect with this person. And so I just I wanted my audience to hear from another woman on how powerful it is. It's uncomfortable, yes, because you have to put yourself out there, and you do have some people that are sometimes unpleasant. I'm sure you've encountered a few.
Oh, personalities are very interesting.
Yes.
But I think it's more so about building a relationship with somebody. You're not out to be everyone's best friend just because you're networking with them. But if you build a relationship that they know what they're doing, you know what you're doing, then that's great.
And be confident.
Yes, confidence. Be
confident,
is the key
that's
what it
key.
Is that you do. Because when you lack the confidence, people want to use you. They're just not sure if they can depend on you.
And they can see it. They can see it. When you lack it, they see it. Try to surround yourself around other women that are smart. I meet a lot of smart women like, dang, she's smart. If you're smart, you need to be around those people and some of them may be even smarter than you. That's great. You need to like, oh, what is she doing? I need to learn from her. I need to, you know.
When I say don't be the smartest person in the room, what I'm talking about is that person could be smart in accounting. And you have no clue unless you go to that person.
Come on.
But you might be smart in the administrative part where they have no clue unless they come to you. So that makes, you not the smartest person in the room.
Right.
So you have to understand the different skill sets to make sure that you're not the smartest person in the room, to utilize what you need to utilize. And I say utilize because it's a better word, but, we use each other for a reason, There's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it. Be productive with it, at least bring something to the table if you're trying to utilize someone else's skills.
Yes. And I think she hit the nail on the head, because it's like, we run into people and they say, oh, well, I went to this person, they didn't want to help me. And it's kind of like, well, maybe they wanted to help you, but maybe you didn't bring anything to the table. You didn't come with something like, how can I contribute? How can we exchange services, or in what way can you contribute? And so sometimes that's wearing on the other person, because you're always if you're the other person, you're trying to help everybody. And it's like, you have to realize when you're in business or when you're doing anything, it's like, if I'm taking time away from what I'm doing to help you, that takes time away from what I'm doing, right? And so time is money, time is important. Everybody's time is valuable. And so what I hate most is when people don't respect my time. And so it's like, dang, I blocked out 2-3 hours for you, and you came here with no ideas, no plan.
At least have something.
Like, have your idea ready, have your plan ready.
I mean, the person who even took the time, especially if it's for free, they're believing in you.
Yes.
And if they're believing in you, allow them to do so. If you don't have that much energy to believe in yourself, feed off of someone else's.
Yes.
Feed off of the energy that they believe in you, and keep using the steps that they've given you to move to the next step. Now, remember this, a lot of people may be there only for a season. Not everybody's meant to be long term. Learn to accept that they may be there for a season. That doesn't mean go up to them, use them, and drop them off. That just means that if you guys have time where you split and you don't talk for a while, that is okay. You're not losing friendship. This is a business. And even if it's a friend, my best friend, we don't talk for 6 months at a time. She has a life and I have mine. We jump back on the phone and it's like we never skipped a beat.
Finding someone who gets it. Sorry.
Yes, that's it.
Me all day.
Finding someone who gets it, and that is correct in business as well, because you cannot do business with everyone. It is not your purpose to do business with everyone.
Yeah. And go off of energy. I'm big on energy. I always like to fill people out, kind of check them out. Even with my podcast platform, my husband's like, oh, what about this person? Or somebody may say, what about this person? I don't really know. I gotta see. Let me ask some questions. Let me look around, because you don't want to invite different types of energy into your space. Because like you said, you're not meant to work with everyone, and that's okay. It's okay. Moving into the new chapter. So we have 6 months. I say new chapter because we have 6 months left in the year.
Already.
I know.
Right?
It's like, dang. How are we maximizing this time in the next 6 months? So what do you have going on?
So with the organization, the Gibson Lupus ARC, we actually do the Health and Wellness Forum, where we have partnered up with the Lupus Foundation of America Gulf Coast chapter, where we're doing health forums. We're talking about lupus trials. We're talking about alternative ways of living, so on and so forth. So you can come, bring your questions. We'll have some vendors there, things like that. So stay on the lookout for that. We also have a virtual pageant that's coming up. It's an international pageant, and it will start September, October. We'll do the online voting, and then we'll have our finale here in Houston. And it'll be attached to an award dinner where we'll be able to award several lupus advocates, telling them thank you for your service, and that will be in mid-November.
Okay.
So that's what we have coming up there.
So how can people volunteer? Do you guys accept volunteers?
We
or?
do accept volunteers. We are in need of a team. Yes, we do accept volunteers. Actually, I have several positions open as of right now.
Okay.
You know, from administrative to street teams, so on the website development, marketing, branding, all of that. We have several that are actually come up. And it's just that, you know, someone who has the time to take it and, you know, make this that thing that they can do and have passion at doing and wanting to help the people the way we're wanting to help them. Because like I said, we have this housing project that we are doing, and it will be up, by the grace of God, it'll be up sooner than later. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we need feet and mouths and people to know and recognize exactly what we're doing so that we can help as many people as possible.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So is there a link where they can go to find this information?
Gibson.
Okay.
Gibson Lupus, ARC.org.
Okay.
It's all there.
Is that, okay. How did you come up with the name?
Gibson Lupus Autoimmune Resource Center.
Mm-hmm. Is that just, I'm saying, how did you come up with the name?
Well, I guess because I was a resource. I've always been a resource. Mm-hmm. So I ended up being resource center. But then someone told me, a lupus advocate actually, was like, why don't you just put autoimmune in there? Because it's very rare that someone has lupus and no other autoimmune disease. So adding that just made sense. I wanted
her to hone in on the last name. How powerful is it to use your last name when you're building like businesses or you're building something that you want to continue on after you're no longer here? Like, how do you feel about that legacy part of it?
The legacy part of it, I had to get adjusted to it because starting this organization literally was not my idea. So someone was like, you're doing a great job and you're moving in the right direction. And I see where God is taking you. You need to start an organization.
Come on, prophet.
So basically I was like, no, because I've always been the type of person, I will be that go-to person to push somebody up there. What you need, how you need it. I get down on the ground, tie your shoes, make sure you look good, brush you off, you use it, right? And they was like, that's beautiful that you love to serve because use it. So I was like, okay. So they actually put it together for me and just really talked me into it and then did all my paperwork for me, and it came up with Gibson Lupus. It was before the autoimmune. It was Gibson Lupus Resource Center because of all the different resources. And then I felt like later on, my name being attached to it, I was like, my father had passed away. So I was like, this right here, he always wanted a boy. He got all girls. I said, that's what you get for being so charming. You charmed all them ladies. You got girls. So with me being able to take that name and put it to something to do good means a lot.
Yes.
You know, and that right there, because Gibson is such a powerful name, that I just hope I'm doing his name proud.
I love it. That's what I wanted her to get to. I thought she was going to get there, and I'm like, no, I got to ask. But because that legacy piece, people miss the legacy piece. Like when you're, tapping into your purpose and you're doing all these things, it's like, okay, what am I going to leave behind? Like, what's going to be here forever and ever when I'm no longer here? And it's that name, it's that organization that somebody can still pick up the pieces and run with. Because we were talking about earlier before we turned on the camera, we were talking about structure and systems. It's going to be already in place. And so they'll just have to come in and maybe fine tune a couple things, maybe change a couple things, of course, because we're always growing. But it's already been set in place.
Already been set.
Yes. Let's keep it rolling. My next question was being in the forefront of things and being assertive and being, and delegating tasks and doing these things. How difficult is that for you sometimes?
My family would say never.
Are you the oldest?
I am the oldest.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So my family would definitely say that's never difficult for me. I've never, and personally for myself, I've never been the one who really just wanted to be up front. But my mom called me her little China doll. And my sister was her little funny one. So my sister's actually a comedian out in California.
Oh, okay.
And I modeled here locally in Houston for like 15 plus years. Like, good, I don't have to talk though. So when I moved to this next level and I actually had to speak to people, I was doing it behind the scenes, but then everybody wanted me to go up front and speak. It was like, we want to see your face. I'm here. I waved. But standing up front to be like, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to be done. It kind of came as a second nature to me. And I didn't even realize it because I can do it when it needs to be done. But at the end of the day, I'm going back home.
Like, let me do this real quick and I gotta go.
That's pretty much it. It was like, look, XYZ. At my other job, I deal with people with intellectual disabilities. And in that job, I deal with independent living, also housing. So I love the way God has lined up my path, that everything lines together here, so I'm not all over the place. But in that, I've had to learn, not had to learn, but I've had to adjust how I speak to make sure they understand where I'm coming from so that they can get what they need in order to make it work out there in the world. You know, so being aggressive and being assertive and doing that in a sense where, like I said before, my boss needed XYZ and I went to my network, I had to step up where people were lacking in that position. So when I got the position, it was like, okay, here I am. This is what needs to happen. You said XYZ, so this is what needs to happen and how it's going to happen. So it, like I said, it kind of came as a second nature of, I need this to get done so that we can move on.
Isn't it funny how we try to downplay our gifts? Like,
oh my gosh.
And God be like, no. So, no.
I love speaking now. You know, when I get in front of people, I can tell my testimony and all of that. But I had stage fright. Like, I'll get out, like, when I was younger, because I would sing, and they wanted me to sing. I said I'll be the person in the back singing. I'll sing loud, too. You can hear me, but I'll be in the back. So, they was like, I love speaking now, but I had so much stage fright that when God actually showed me a vision, I was at church, and everybody, I forgot what the sermon was about, but everybody started getting visions about where God was taking them in the future. And I was like, just praying for everybody like I normally do. And I see this crowd, just this crowd, speaking to this crowd. I was like, oh, that's good. I'll be there in support. I'm going to support whoever you got up there. That's
I'm
fine.
cheering. I'm clapping.
I'm the cheerleader. You know, I'll do handstands, whatever you need me to do. And it's like God laughed at me like, okay, but it's you.
Sure. Sure.
So it took me some time to get there. But today, I don't mind standing up and be like, hey, here's my story.
Yeah. Here's
what I have to say about how my life is going, how I would like to help, and how I think things can and should be ran. And again, how you downplay yourself. When I went into this business as well, I saw things that weren't done. So I was like, A, B, C, D needs to be done. And I wowed people in a sense. It was like, oh my God, what's your background? And I was like, what do you mean?
I can just see that it needs to be done.
Exactly, right? You know, so in that sense, that was me downplaying the knowledge that I have actually accumulated over the years. Yeah. You know, and what is in me, and not realizing how much was actually in me.
And how powerful it is, because look at how many people pay attention.
Yes.
Like, people really pay attention when you like, I need this. How did you come up with that so fast? Or because look, you're the expert in the area, right? And you didn't even give yourself that title. But it's like, dang, I am.
Yeah. When I realized that, it was like, that's really what I'm doing. So I guess I can put a title to that now.
Yeah.
You know, so when people start looking for titles, to be like, oh, I got one. Yeah, there it is.
There it is. And I wanted her to touch on that too, because man, I think women, we struggle with that because, you know, being aggressive, being assertive, you know, sometimes can get a negative look, you know, but I think it's so great. I think it's great personally, but it can get a negative look like, oh, you're too aggressive. Oh, you're too assertive, or, oh, you're doing too much. You know, those types of things.
My boss explains it as, you're the mean mama and I'm the nice daddy that gives them candy and say, just love me. And I was like, no, I'm just trying to, I love them. I love everybody. You. I need this to be done. Yeah. It's like, you can play later. I just need this to be done. Yeah. So I
think when you're direct, though, sometimes people are like, wait, hold on. You're taking me too fast. But it's like, no, I need this done. This is what I need done.
Like no one's going to know what's on your mind until you tell them. but it doesn't mean that everybody's going to like what's on your mind.
True.
But half the time, they need to know so that they won't do something that you don't like because you haven't told them. Or
I always say that now you know exactly where we stand
exactly.
and what I need you to do and how I feel about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
there's no guesswork.
I had a girlfriend a long time ago. She said something to me and it ticked me off to the high heavens. And before I said anything, she said, "You may be mad, but you know I love you. So you'll get over this." And she walked away. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, really? But she was so right. And I got over it. And we went on. Because she was absolutely correct.
So and you respected her a little more for
sure
being
did.
honest.
I sure did.
Respect a little more for being honest. People always come back around. Like, I swear, it may take them a couple days or maybe a week, and then they come back around.
That's your emotions.
Yeah.
We are allowed to have emotions, okay? Yes.
Yeah, very emotional creatures. Yes. Oh, Jesus.
Just don't let your emotions have you.
Yes. Is there anything you want to leave the people with? Anything that we did not cover that you want to make sure that you tell the women and gentlemen out here? I do have gentlemen viewers out here.
Realize that whatever anyone tries to tell you, that your diagnosis is not your identity. You might have some struggles, but you have struggles because you were trusted enough to be given that struggle to get through it. Because there's a lot of people who can't get through what you can get through. So regardless of how bad it looks, how bad it sounds, know that you were trusted because you can actually get through it.
I'm just letting that sink in. I'm letting that sink in. She doesn't know, but she just ministered to me on a whole nother level.
Oh, wow.
That was powerful. And I don't know, a lot of you guys may not know this, but it's going to be, we didn't talk about your book. That's what we forgot, your book. She's an author, guys.
Yes, I wrote a book.
She's an author, yes. And I'll put the link. Is it on Amazon?
It is on Amazon.
Okay.
It's called Warrior by Nature. And it is a testament. It's not on my lupus side of my journey, but I went through some things as a kid, y'all. So, like I said, I might not have been the best child in the world, but, you know, I bumped my head a couple of times. So I tell a lot of my testimonies of what I went through and how things happened, but I tell how I got over it as well. It's not just a story of what I went through, but exactly how I got over it in the direction I chose to go in from what I knew then and what I know and understand now.
We're going to put that link in the description so you guys could go and check out her book. But being chosen sometimes is difficult. That's why I said what she said really resonated with me, because that can be a struggle. And when you're in the moment, sometimes you don't see that.
No.
You don't see that. And so people like her telling her story and writing her book, it really helps people when they're going through and you're trying to get to that other side, and you're trying to see, how she got there. And so definitely go and check out the book. I'll put the link, all of her links in the description. Her social media will be up on the screen. And so go follow her, guys. Go like, share, and subscribe to my channel and share this video. Stay tuned. Go follow Allow Yourself Grace. And I want to thank you so much for coming and not knowing where she was going, guys, but she still came. She still came.
It was a little turnaround, but I made it.
Yes, and being open to coming on my platform, I definitely appreciate that. And until next time, guys, we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Well, guys, that concludes our episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. For additional information about today's episode, please click the link in the show notes below. To learn more about our Grace Girls community and other resources we have to offer, head over to www.allowyourselfgrace.com. Until next time, Grace Girls, I love you all. Be blessed and continue to strive for success.